Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Friday, December 12th, right here on Jocks. Glad you're with us. No Greg today. No Greg Monday. He is on vacation. Is that right?
Taking the family to Disney.
Huh.
Whew, on air. Okay.
Damien, you need a little hit of this? We got to get the smelling salts going this morning. It's
Needed?
no, it's getting to be that time of year. Everything, I don't know what day it is. I don't know where I am. The Wednesday flight to Charlotte, Thursday flight home completely threw me off. For the schedule release show yesterday, if you watched it, thank you. If not, shame on you. I'm sure you at least looked somewhere to see the SEC schedules for 2026 that were released yesterday. It was a fun time. Coach Chizik, Roman, and I in studio discussing it, kind of looking at it. But it's also hard. It's easy to sit there and say, like, oh, you're at LSU. It's a tough place to play. I don't know what they're going to look like. Like, what's LSU going to look like? How can we have any confidence on any of these teams, really and truly? I don't know who's losing who. I don't know who's getting who in. Let's go back a couple months ago. Where were we in August on the SEC? Before we go into the 2026 schedules, let's take a quick look back at August. What did we think? Where were we? I think most people thought LSU was a playoff contender. This is just the Southeastern Conference. Hell, I picked Clemson to win the national championship. I'm not afraid to admit it, but I'm ashamed to admit it. I think we thought Georgia would be pretty good. I think a lot of people thought Ole Miss was going to take a pretty big dip.
Yeah.
They're 11-1 in the playoff. I think people thought A&M was going to be good. They didn't know if they'd be able to get over the hump, sort of. Thought Bama would be good. We thought Texas would be – I think Texas is about right where people thought. Chance to be really good. Going to have some holes. But like Roman brought up a good point last night. Remember what we were saying about Oklahoma's schedule before the season this year? Mm-hmm. Oh, insurmountable.
Can't do anything.
No, I can't get to the playoff with that schedule. 10-2, they're in. Most people thought Vandy was going backwards. I think Mizzou maybe a smidge below where we thought. Tennessee, about right where we thought. Remember, Tennessee fans, you're mad about this season. However, a lot of us tried to tell you with what happened at quarterback as late as it happened and what you were losing in other places, the kind of season you put together is
remarkable. Yeah,
close to best case scenario there. And you had a couple other games you could have had. LSU 7-5, not what we thought. Kentucky, it was hard to see the way that they were going to be a lot better than they ended up being, 5-7. Florida, we thought we were going to be better than 4-8. Auburn, I think we thought was going to be a little better than 5-7. Mississippi State, probably right in line. Thought they'd probably get bowl eligible. They get there through academics. Not thought, like you of us predicted that one.
Whew.
Nothing wrong with Mississippi State academics, just not the way we thought they would get there. South Carolina, we thought would be better than 4-8. With Dylan Stewart back, Lenore Sellers back, regardless of the cast, you thought, all right, those guys will step up and be Superman for a few games. They'll be bowl eligible, right? No. I thought Arkansas would be better than 2-10 with Taylor Green back. Taylor Green and Bobby Petrino calling plays again. I thought they'd be ahead of that. So we were right on some. We were wrong on some other ones. But maybe the pieces of these teams that we thought were going to be really good or why they were going to be good, why they would struggle, some of those are also different. So we look at these schedules, and it's hard to sit there and say definitively Alabama's schedule is ridiculous. Auburn's schedule is ridiculous. I got a couple that I think are harder than the others. But I will say this. After looking through all of them, going through all the different schedules, the one thing that we're not going to say anymore was what we were saying about Missouri and Ole Miss the last few years. Those schedules are gone. No more of those. Forget it. Those are out. We're not going to have the one or two outliers where we're looking at them and saying, how did those guys come up with that? Oh, Missouri's going to win 9 just because of the schedule. Oh, Ole Miss easily 10-win teams because of the schedule. We won't be saying that anymore.
That's done.
You throw in an extra conference game on top of no extra bye week. because of Labor Day and how it falls in the calendar. And we just had it 2 years in a row. So I think a lot of us got used to it and we just thought that's what it was going to be, but not so much. So you don't have 2 bye weeks this year. You have an extra SEC game. Alabama's going to go Eastern Carolina at Kentucky. I don't care. You go on the road week 2 in the SEC, that's not fun. Nobody knows what their team is at week 2. Think about where we were in week 2 of this season while we're rewinding, going back and looking at different things.
DeBoer should have been fired going into week 2. Going into some.
We had people asking for it. We had people saying it needs to happen. Here was your week 2 AP top 10. Ohio State. Penn State at 2. They would fire their coach. LSU at 3. They would fire their coach. Georgia at 4. Miami at 5. Oregon at 6. Texas at 7. Clemson at 8.
Kind of fell off.
Notre Dame at 9. South Carolina at 10. You also had Florida at 13. They'd fire their coach. Florida State at 14. Michigan at 15. Fire their coach, but not for the record. So you also had Texas Tech at 24. Week 2. 24. Indiana was 23 week 2. So teams 23 and 24 got into the playoffs. Teams 19 and 20, actually 18, 19, 20, Oklahoma, A&M, Ole Miss, all got in the playoff. AP poll. Eastern Carolina at Kentucky, Florida State, South Carolina at Mississippi State, Georgia at home, at Tennessee, Texas A&M, open date before LSU, at Vandy, UT Chattanooga, Auburn at home. It's not bad. And here's the other part of this. When we're looking at these schedules, we said this 2 years ago with Georgia. If that were any other team not named Alabama, we'd probably be saying that's the toughest schedule in the country. So we look at Alabama's schedule and like we kind of roll our eyes at Florida State, even though they lost to them last year. South Carolina almost got them the last couple of years. Okay, A&M, they're in the playoff. Georgia, tough every time. At Tennessee, rivalry game. At LSU, always physical. But there will be other challenges that we don't look at the same way we look at now. There'll be some that maybe we look at as super challenging that just aren't when we get there. Auburn's going to have Baylor and Atlanta, Southern Miss at home, Florida at home, Vandy at home. So once again, Auburn does not leave or does not play a true road game until October the 3rd. At Tennessee, week off, at Georgia, LSU, at Ole Miss, Arkansas, at State, Samford, at Alabama. Now, where Auburn's is very different is the home stretch is not near as bad as it usually has been. If you could manage some things through October and be in pretty good shape, then you have Arkansas at Mississippi State, Samford at Alabama. You have a chance to finish strong there, I think. Auburn gets 2 playoff teams this year, 26. How about Auburn plays 6 new head coaches? 6 new head coaches on Auburn's schedule.
Wow.
Southern Miss, Florida, LSU, Ole Miss, Arkansas, and Samford. Which, by the way, that's not 6, but multiple head coaches on every SEC team schedule. Now, a couple that really stuck out. If you're just talking about these schedules and how they appear to be, are they more difficult than some of the others? Texas, first off. Because remember, Texas got a hall pass first couple years in the league. Why are we taking care of Texas? You get 2 teams in state in the first 3 games of the season. So you get Texas State and UTSA weeks 1 and 3, sandwiched between Ohio State at home. You're at Tennessee, week off, Oklahoma. So before the midway point, you've played Ohio State at Tennessee and Oklahoma on a neutral site before the halfway point in the season.
Wow.
Then you have Florida at home. We know what they did to them last year. Ole Miss at home, playoff team. Mississippi State at home. And then listen to this November for Texas. Buckle up if you're out there driving, especially if you're a Horns fan. Starting November the 7th, at Missouri, at LSU, Arkansas, at A&M on a short week. One more time. at Missouri, at LSU, Arkansas at home, at Texas A&M on Friday. That is about as brutal as it gets to close a season. Now, one that you could put up against that would be LSU. You talk about a stretch. You talk about a close to a season. LSU will get Halloween off. After that, they play Alabama, Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas. That's to close the season. So imagine right now if some of these teams we're talking about, let's throw Tennessee into that mix. Here's Tennessee's November. Kentucky, at A&M, LSU, at Vandy. Here's Texas A&M's November. At South Carolina, Tennessee, at Oklahoma, Texas at home. Here's Vanderbilt's November. At Mississippi State, Bama, at Florida, Tennessee. Mississippi State's November. Vandy, Auburn, Tennessee Tech, at Ole Miss. How about South Carolina's November? The battle for the Governor's Cup. Isn't that what it is? Mayor's Cup? Mayor's Trophy?
It feels like Mayor, yeah.
South Carolina in November plays Texas A&M at home, at Arkansas, Georgia at Clemson. Folks, November is going to be one to remember. This November in the Southeastern Conference is going to be an absolute bloodbath. This is Sparta. What's the GIF from where the dude's pulling his sword out and like the 700 guys are running at him?
That's Game of Thrones.
That's Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
That's basically what every team is doing, and that's November coming at them. It's just a literal death march. Missouri, November. Texas at Georgia, Kentucky, Oklahoma. Georgia, November. At Ole Miss, Missouri, at South Carolina, Georgia Tech. Good Lord, Arkansas. At Auburn, South Carolina, at Texas, LSU. But see, we look at that different because it's Arkansas. If I just read that out for Bama or Georgia, we'd be like, well,
you can do that, yeah.
Florida in November has Oklahoma at Kentucky. Oh no, Coach Spurrier saw this. They're making them go to Kentucky in November.
Feels like it.
I thought they got that removed. Oklahoma at Kentucky, Vanderbilt at Florida State. Kentucky at Tennessee, Florida at Mizzou, Louisville. It's every single one of them. One of them. So what are the couple other things things about the SEC schedules that we look at and we say, oh, that's cool. I like that. 3-9, that's cool. I like that. 3-9, 95, 6. SEC schedules released yesterday. What are your thoughts on the scheduling? I'll tell you this, as we have seen in the past. To definitively be excited about going to look early in the season. Through some of those, we'll take you what they look like. Alex, he was in Kalen DeBoer. The Michigan job came open. 9, Stanford Steve. We'll get you our Super Sofa Game of the Week. Today. All that and more coming up here on Jocks. We got a lot of great show for you today. You be a part of it. Text into the show 205-834-9450. Tweet into the show at Mac and Cube. And yes, you probably guessed it if you're already on your way to work. The cold weather is here. Don't get caught in it. Schedule your system checkup now from a Train Comfort Specialist. Train has been recognized 11 consecutive years as America's most trusted HVAC brand and our exclusive home comfort partners here at Jocks. Visit Train.com to find a comfort specialist near you. More on the SEC schedules, your response to them next on Jocks. We usually have to ease into our seasons. Weeks 1, 2, not necessarily as good as we thought. 7:18, Friday, December 12th, right here on Jocks. No Greg today, but you be a part of the show. Tweet in at Mac and Cube, 800-239-9569 if you would like to be a part of the show as well. A couple of things that stuck out. The one that everybody was looking for, I think the one thing that everybody was excited about, that wanted to talk about, and that will be, I've already come to the conclusion, is going to be beyond nauseating. Just get ready for it because you're going to be over it pretty quick. And that is going to be September 19th, LSU at Ole Miss. I think I'm already over it.
Just like that.
We get it. They're playing. We know. But that's going to be probably the entire preseason, the first few weeks of the season. We'll build that thing up. We'll talk about it. We will make jokes about it. We will have memes about it. We will have GIFs about it. And, yeah, that's going to be a thing. I mentioned weeks 1 and 2, though. You get Baylor, Auburn week 1. You get Clemson, LSU week 1. It's not as good as you would want it. But in week 2, we get Alabama at Kentucky. So we get a conference game in week 2. You also get Mississippi State at Minnesota, Missouri at Kansas, which that game has a lot of meaning. I know we're not as familiar with it here in the state of Alabama as we are some other rivalries in the conference, but that's a big one. Oklahoma's at Michigan. Ohio State is at Texas. Arizona State is at A&M. That's all week 2. All those are week 2.
Tennessee at Georgia Tech.
So some massive matchups there in week 2. So things get ramped up quickly. I mean, you go to week 3, Florida State, Alabama, Georgia, Arkansas, Florida at Auburn for the first time since 2011. I just mentioned LSU at Ole Miss. Why do we even play the other games? We'll be talking about that one the whole time. Mississippi State at South Carolina, Kentucky at Texas A&M, North Carolina State at Vandy. That's a heck of a weekend for week 3. So we're going to get into the meat of the schedule a lot faster than we have in the past. And then finally, the definitive one takeaway you should have from yesterday's schedule release. Less lettuce. November 21st, your traditional lettuce, not cupcake, lettuce weekend, because if you didn't know, we all love cupcakes and we want more of those. Nobody wants more lettuce. UT Chattanooga at Bama. Okay. A little lettuce on the burger. Samford at Auburn. It's a little lettuce on the sandwich. Wofford at Ole Miss. All right, so there's some lettuce on this deal. Tennessee Tech and Mississippi State. Okay, we don't need any more lettuce. We're done.
It's starting to fall off now.
That's all we need.
A little brown.
Opposite those, you get Vandy at Florida, Kentucky at Missouri, A&M at Oklahoma, Georgia at South Carolina, LSU at Tennessee, Arkansas at Texas. That's it. That's your schedule. So where we used to be 80% lettuce, 20%, 10% burger, 10% bun, we're now at about 20% lettuce. We've completely flipped. Like, we walked into Burger King, got it our way. Actually, we didn't because there would be none of these.
No. None of that lettuce either.
Get it out. But we have flipped the script on what lettuce weekend will be.
It's to be a lettuce wrap.
It's fair. It's totally fair. Lettuce wrapped in lettuce. Now, just a little lettuce on whatever we're having. And that's okay because it's a lot better than it used to be. A lot better than it once was. Tom wants to chime in on college football. Welcome into the show, Tom. You're on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Hey, guys. Tuesday's show was one of the best I've ever heard. So what you're telling me, Cole, is that which each team in the SEC has the least depth and the fewest players we've ever had, we're going to have the toughest schedules. Where we're going has a lot to do with where we've been. November in this conference, that's unsustainable over the long haul. I'd love to know what Commissioner Sankey really thinks about this, but it's just more than brutal. And it's counterintuitive to really making a successful conference schedule and adding to the playoffs at the end. So I look at two things, and these are kind of esoteric points, but Larry Scott in the Pac-12 2019 destroyed that conference. Mark Emmert, NCAA, pretty much brought that down. those two things, coupled with a lot of other bad decisions by a handful of people, have left us where we are. And the conferences at one time, when we had 5 good conferences, was the best scenario. We're almost going to have to split up the SEC into the East and West and make them 2 conferences. I'm not sure how you sustain where we're going with this. And let me throw a little gem in about Notre Dame. Notre Dame, they need to really, ACC just needs to come down on them and say, get in the conference or get out completely. And if you want to see how Notre Dame's been favored over the years, look at the 5 biggest snubs in Heisman. And the second default player to win the Heisman over the person that deserved it was always a Notre Dame player. So bad decisions have consequences, and Diego Pavia should win the Heisman. But I'd love to know what your thought is going forward in the SEC and how this brutal schedule is going to help anything. Lane Kiffin's got his hands full, man. I would not want to be him. And the legends and the Bama hater of this world do this conference no good. Pete Golding's now the head coach of Ole Miss, and I hope he goes a long way. So thank you, guys. Love your show.
Appreciate the call. Thank you very much. What was Tuesday, John? What is today?
Today's Friday. So Tuesday would have been, I guess, soon after the playoff was announced. That would have been the 9th. Let me pull up our rundown. What do we do?
I know Monday we talked playoff as well.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I'm trying to think of just.
We started out with some of the coaching changes. Golish was on at 7:30.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
We had the Ruben
and
Bain.
Andy Bertram.
Yeah.
So
we had Ben Garrett on to talk about Lane. So I felt like a normal show, but cool. Oh, that's when Greg went off on people for Hayden Ty. That's what it was. Yeah.
Red A. Greg.
Yeah.
On the Ty Simpson distractors, benchers. I do remember some of that. That was a good show. That feels like 3 weeks ago. But we're here now for you. We're going to continue talking schedules. How about this run for Kentucky in the middle of their schedule? October the 3rd, starting at South Carolina, LSU, at Oklahoma, Vandy, open date, at Tennessee, Florida, at Missouri. That's 4 of 7 on the road in the middle of their schedule. Caller just mentioned LSU. How about this schedule for LSU starting on October the 10th to close your season at Kentucky, Mississippi State, at Auburn, open date, Bama, Texas, at Tennessee, at Arkansas. 4 of their final 7 on the road. Their last 2 on the road as well. I mean, some of these are just – and he brings up a good point about conference realignment. We've talked about a lot of things that are great about it. We get more good games. We have more good teams in more leagues. We get some old rivalries back, Texas A&M. It's great to have that game back. It's really cool to have Red River being a part of the Southeastern Conference. But is it fair to look at some of this and say, have we gone too far? Because the problem, I think if you ask Greg Sankey right now, like as the caller said, like what would he say about this? What would he think about this? I think the problem Greg Sankey would have is he believes in everything that he's done. It's just that the observers of college football haven't come around to it yet. They don't understand the differences in it just yet. We haven't retrained our brains to what a 2-loss team, a 3-loss team really is, how hard it is to win 9 games, much less 10, 11, 12 games. And looking at these schedules, undefeated seasons do not feel feasible anymore. I mean, Tennessee goes Texas, Auburn, at Arkansas, Bama, at South Carolina in a 5-game stretch in the middle of their season, no open date. Oh, by the way, Tennessee closes the season at A&M, LSU, at Vandy. Back to back to back. Vanderbilt, starting September 19th, NC State, at Auburn, at Georgia, Ole Miss, Arkansas, at Kentucky. That's a 6-game stretch, half of them on the road. I mean, it's just, now, what the league did do a great job of are much fewer back-to-back road games for teams. And I don't believe a team has 3 consecutive road games, and that had happened in the league in the past.
Doesn't look like there's a team that will have multiple other teams having to bye before they play them either.
That was a part of what they wanted to try to rewind. Chiswick talked about it on the show last night. There's a part of AI that they're using for some of these schedules, and everybody has their own input of, hey, we had 4 teams that had byes before we played them. Or we had 3 consecutive road games. And so to level all that out for what everyone's like first or secondary or tertiary desires were, they went and tried to mitigate that.
And I understand the last 2 years with 2 buys. I mean, you kind of can't help that sometimes, but
Fair.
in years past, it felt like not that they were intentionally trying to do it. That's just the way it shook out. But yeah, there was a concerted effort. There were, I think, only 3 teams that have face teams that have a bye before it, and with LSU, Georgia, and Tennessee, and I believe all 3 of them, another team has a bye too. Like LSU,
right. LSU
Bama has a bye,
it,
Florida,
yeah.
Georgia, right? Yeah. So I do like that they at least tried to address that.
I mean, Mississippi State's beginning of their season next year. Louisiana Monroe at home, at Minnesota, at South Carolina. That's how you start the season. They play road games, South Carolina, LSU, Texas, and Ole Miss, and Minnesota. That's a road schedule.
By the way, Oklahoma's sandwiched in that at LSU, at Texas.
Hey. Y'all think people are going to go undefeated? Let me know, because I don't. I just don't see it, man. I don't see it happening. Now, you could look at some teams like South Carolina benefit from a great open. Kent State, Towson, Mississippi State at home. All right, they could get off to a good start. Like, you could build some confidence there. You could look at that. Like, Auburn doesn't play a true road game until October the 3rd. Okay. 6 new head coaches on Auburn's schedule. That could be a little bit beneficial. We don't know what the team's going to look like, though. We have no idea. Let's go to Andy in Wetumpka. Wants to talk schedules. Welcome into the show, Andy.
Hey, good morning, fellas. Hope y'all doing well.
Doing
I know
great.
You're talking about a tough November schedule. I'm thinking about Greg. He'll have a whole week in Disney. He's got his November schedule coming up every day next week. So, but I hope he's having a safe trip. Hope his family enjoys it down there. But I'm kind of reiterating what your last caller said. You know, I mean, you think about it. I mean, you look at the conference as a whole now with NIL. Look at the coaching changes that's been going on. I mean, it's got to the point now. I mean, who really are the 2 toughest conferences in the country? Is it the SEC West and the SEC East? You know, I mean, it's crazy what's going on, and there is no way that a single team will run through that gauntlet in November and be undefeated at the end of the season. And for years, you know, it's been the fact that we as a conference, we eat our own toward the end of the season. So, you know, the cream comes to the top. And then I'd love for y'all to go over what the November schedule looks like for Notre Dame next year. Let's see what the November schedule looks like for Ohio State. Let's look at these teams that are generally outside our conference that are in every year, and let's see what their schedules look like in November. I guarantee you they don't run the gauntlet that we're running down here. I can promise you that. But I don't know where we're going to get any changes on any of this. It's brutal. It's going to be a brutal schedule. But hey, when you got coaches that get fired and they get these buyouts that they're getting paid for it. They're getting paid to coach up for it.
There's no doubt.
You know, saddle up and let's run it. So the way I look at it.
Appreciate the call, Andy. Buckle your junk. It's going to be a bumpy ride. So the Big Ten schedules for 26 not out yet. So can't get to those. We will when they become available. We'll let you know, and obviously do some comparative analysis as to what those 2 look like. Not a lot of dates for some of Notre Dame's schedule. November the 7th, though, they will play Miami. November the 21st, they will play Boston College. Dates that have not been set for Notre Dame's schedule: SMU, Stanford, at Syracuse, and USC. So they have Wisconsin next year in Green Bay. They have Rice. They have Michigan State. They're at Purdue, at North Carolina, Navy, and Foxborough. And then, as I mentioned, Miami, Boston College, SMU, Stanford, at Syracuse, and USC. I thought Bud Elliott had some good comments on the Cover 3 podcast this week, talking about how he believes Notre Dame is strategically scheduling the weaker P5 teams. And that's a coin flip, though, sometimes. Sometimes you say, oh, well, you didn't know that team wasn't going to be good. Like Michigan State, they've been pretty good a couple of years in the last decade. Right now, not great. Now, you schedule Purdue.
Yeah, kind of, no.
I mean, Allstott ain't running out of that tunnel.
Drew Brees ain't.
Vinny Sutherland ain't running out of that tunnel. So, now, They had a nice season that ended in the Music City Bowl against Tennessee a couple of years ago with Aiden O'Connell. But I think you have a pretty good idea. Like, you're fairly safe there. Boston College, fairly safe there. Most years. Even Syracuse, this past year, not great. 2 years ago, had a nice season. So there could be a little method to that madness as to what Notre Dame's up to from a scheduling perspective. We'll continue talking schedules. Some of you chiming in via Twitter, 800-239-9569. You want to get into the show and talk to us about it there. We'll do it right after this on Jocks. Alex Scarborough joins us at 8 a.m. He was apparently in Kalen DeBoer's office when the Michigan job came open. I would say that the Sherrone Moore situation gets crazier, but we got most of it when it was dropped on a Sunday evening, afternoon, and I don't feel like it can get a whole lot crazier than that. But it is wild to think about. And this question being asked currently on First Take with Paul Feinbaum and Josh Pate answering. Should Kalen DeBoer leave for Michigan? Should Kalen DeBoer leave Alabama for Michigan? And now, there are parts of it that can be a fair question. There are parts of it that could make some sense. Michigan is a traditional power. Michigan is one of those jobs that when it comes open, we'll start hearing names But there will be massive names that are at least showing some interest in that job that you never hear about because it's the Michigan job. That is a job that a lot of head coaches have in the back of their mind that if that one ever came open, I'd be interested. I'd go for that one. Now, do I think that automatically means Kalen DeBoer should go for it or should put his name in the hat? No, I don't. I'm curious as to why I think Kalen DeBoer's happy at Alabama. I think that he believes that he can get this thing built to where they're contenders every year. By the way, total sidebar to this conversation, just real quick. Quick reminder for the folks that are driving around, listening at jocksfm.com, watching on YouTube, maybe listening on the app. If you're on your radio listening in Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, Birmingham, they're in the playoffs.
People tend to forget that.
Don't pull over. Keep it between the white lines. That is shocking information for some people. I'm going to say it one more time, and I want you to take a tight grip of that steering wheel, and I want you to sit down if you're at home, put the coffee down. One more time quickly. Alabama is in the college football playoff.
But he still ain't done enough. Still ain't enough.
He was in Atlanta for the conference championship game too, wasn't he?
And not enough.
Why would we relive that?
Oh, okay. I mean, yes, he sadly lost again, but I mean, he was there.
Beat that team earlier this season at their place.
Sure did.
Why? I would think the better question would be, why would he leave? Recruiting, according to how much I follow it, which is probably 10% of what the normal college football crazy does, seems like it's going well.
It's pretty good.
We got people we can call and put on the show that can answer those questions better than we can. He's done well through the portal.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Greg brought it up 2 weeks ago. We were talking about their roster. Who have been their best players this year? Most of the guys that came with him from Washington, right?
Yep.
Brailsford, Cuevas, Bernard. Might have an eye for talent. So you're telling me that the better option for a man that's considered to be, let's just play it safe, conservative, and say top 10 coach in America right now, which if you have a brain and allow it to operate correctly, I don't think you would have him outside of that. You want me to go to the place that's still recovering from the biggest cheating scandal as far as sign stealing in the history of college football? Followed up by the coach who is having an affair with his assistant and is now in jail. That's where you want me to go? That's the move.
That's the move.
There are always moves. There are always places to be, places to go. That's the one that I should leave sweet home Alabama, Titletown, to roll into. That one? Now, recent national championship. More recently than Alabama.
Fair.
So, okay, got that going for him.
Congratulations.
Iconic institution.
Mm-hmm.
Historic college football program. Maybe the most recognizable uniform on the planet. Any sport, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
They got a lot going for them. Big house. Seems like a cool place. I've walked right outside of it. Haven't been to a game in it. Seems pretty sweet. They got a lot of things going for them. Haven't they won more games than anybody else?
I think so.
Depends on how many have been
Right.
forfeited. I don't know where we are right now.
They didn't play Swanee.
So, no.
They ain't play 1899 Swanee.
Mm-mm. They weren't munched. It feels as though sometimes in sports media, this is not just college football, by the way, we find these things that we just want to stick to. And we're going to talk about those, and we're going to push that, and we're going to think that. And it's almost as if we make ourselves believe it. And this Kalen DeBoer leaving feels like one of those things right now. Maybe the simple answer to that is people call, people click, people talk about, people tune into when this is discussed. Mm-hmm. So I would imagine the YouTube guys, if they put DeBoer leaving ? On their thumbnail, and then they talk about it with no real information that says he's going to leave, probably gets a lot of views. Let me try that this weekend.
Just to test the theory out.
It's just sad. I know y'all guys are watching this for something else, but he ain't going anywhere. And why would he? This guy legit looks like he just rolled out of bed. I'm sorry. Tell me he didn't.
Yeah.
Hair sticking straight up on the side.
He got that 3-minute call. Like, hey man, you're gonna be on the news.
Yeah, God, I forgot television today. Off his
To be
Christmas
fair,
party last night.
Maybe he thought he would be front facing. He didn't expect the side.
Either way.
No, but I'm with you. I don't understand why would you leave. And we had this conversation yesterday, and I said, Alabama is a job where either you get fired, you take a pretty high-ranking NFL job, or you retire. Like, it doesn't seem feasible to me to think about a coach, a standing coach right now, a team that's in the college football playoff saying, yeah, you know what, I'm going to take another job. And you're at the University of Alabama. And like you said, it's not like you're struggling recruiting. Facilities are pretty much up to standard if you compared to everywhere else. And the players that you're going to get,
by the way, sidebar, go rewind on that one. When was the last job that we hard sold facilities on? No, I'm dead serious, because Oregon was the place to be for 8 or 9 years because of facilities, and then uniforms, and then Phil Knight money.
Clemson had the slide.
Okay, but that was we had like a 4 or 5 year window there where this was a lot of Bama had the waterfall. We getting that thing a total of an hour a week. And we're going to go to school there for that? Oh, LSU has airplane cockpit chairs in there for their locker. They can sleep in them. People ain't going there for that.
No.
It's cool. Florida has the little bubble you can, like the eggshell, you can pull down over your locker and sleep. Or you can go home and go to bed. Like, come on. It's all it is marketing.
That's it.
These facility stuff was marketing, and it worked for a period of time, and now it doesn't matter because the marketing is in your bank account. That's all that matters to a lot of kids now. But I'm not against you saying it because I do it too. I'm guilty of it. But when was the last time we hard sold facilities? It's not a real thing anymore. Like you kind of have them. You kind of have to have at least a large portion of it, but some are ahead of others.
Right.
Now, I think if you took a kid and he's like, where do we practice inside when it's raining? Oh, we're working on that. Okay, he's probably, we're going to look at the other places. Like, that's just bad on you. Yeah. We're going to look at something else. Like, I think almost now the biggest selling point of facilities has flipped to your in-stadium environment.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, have you – God, I hate saying this.
Oh, boy.
Do you have like the LED light show, and do you have fireworks, and do you have a packed stadium of 90, 100,000? That's almost more appealing now than a nap pod. Like we walked through Missouri's Player Lounge when we were there for the Mississippi State game, and it's massive. It's huge. Pool table, Pop-A-Shot, air hockey, video games, 7 nap pods where you can lay leather couches with the PlayStations and everything. There's not a soul in there. And we walked through it on the way to meetings, met for like 4 hours, walked back, not an individual in there. They don't care anymore. Now, Auburn's is like in the middle of the locker room. So there's probably people in there every now and then.
Right.
But these facilities that built them separate, I don't even know what the mindset was. Was it, okay, we want to do everything we can to keep them over here? Because I hear more about this year and last year. I hear more coaches talking about players that get there at 6, 7 in the morning and are there all day than I've ever heard before. Now, some of that's probably the schooling.
Schooling?
Yeah, they can just do it online.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Or you go to the facility, watch film, put school on your laptop, and figure out how to not rely on slide protection. But it's interesting because this, I think, goes right in line with what we were just talking about, the SEC. Have you done damage by expanding? And when I say that, I mean we haven't retrained our brains to where we are right now in so many different areas. We just don't understand about where everything is. We know what's going on, but we just don't know all the end results of it. We have to continue to retrain our brains of where we are because we still fall into that trap of, well, brand new indoor. What kid went to Auburn for the brand new indoor? Like, what kid is at LSU right now and can definitively tell you if they wouldn't have had that airplane cockpit first class overseas flying locker room thing, I'm not going. If they didn't have the car wash that you walk through after practice so you're not all sweaty when you get in there, I'm not going to go to LSU.
The car wash.
They do. They have like a car wash.
It's like the.
So this is the crazy part about locker rooms now. None of their pads ever go in there. Imagine that.
It's a little different.
Imagine the odor difference in your locker room
Right.
when your shoulder pads and helmets are not there overnight.
That fall camp smell.
Like
man.
Auburn has 2 locker rooms.
Wow.
I S you not. They have one when they come off the field, and they have that car wash thing. You walk through it, and it's got the water that blasts from all around. So, like, the grass and the sweat is all off of you, like, right when you come in. You can just wear your girdle now, spray down, and go in. Then you put all your stuff up. Then you have your real locker, like your show locker.
Gotcha.
With the TV
Right, yeah.
and the digital screen and the nap pod and, you know, all the other nice looking stuff. So you have like your locker room for your stuff. It's actually a locker room. And then you have your lounge locker.
Gotcha.
That's how dumb we are, where we are right now in college football. All right, more on all that dumbness next on Jocks. And that's watching them in their championship game. So I'm just telling you, be careful of that one. Freddie Kitchens apparently will not return as the North Carolina offensive coordinator, according to Pete Nakos and Inside Carolina. So I hate to see that for the former Alabama quarterback. Not surprising, though, that anything out of Chapel Hill is not going as according to plan. Haven't heard about their facilities, though, so maybe that's what's holding them back.
No, it's the uniforms. You know, Greg doesn't like the Carolina.
Yeah,
Blues.
that's why they can't.
That's their fault.
That's why they're not going to win a title. They're allowed to win conference championships with that uniform. I didn't see Greg talking about Tulane's uniforms that they switched up late in the season. I love those. I thought they were awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so 800-239-9569 if you want to get in. We're talking about these rumors. I don't even know if they're rumors. They're just people saying now we've turned the rumors into should, like suggestions. So is that where we're moving to in sports media, is we report on suggestions? Should Kalen DeBoer leave for Michigan? Should Ed Orgeron get the head coaching job at Tulane? I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, then slide protection would have been talked about for years, because you've been battling that one for a while.
Yeah, it's
so, people got to hop on.
We haven't found a solution for that one.
Right.
So yeah, it's I think when you look at some of why people are doing things, they know it's going to drive traffic. They know it's going to get people talking. The Unhipster tweets in the quote, DeBoer could leave conversation. Penn State, Michigan is lazy journalism. Feels like the Saban may leave era of 2010. It's BS. And he has the yes, no chart with Alabama and Michigan. Traditional power, yes, yes. Winning culture, yes, yes. Scandal plagued, no, yes. There was a time, though, Unhipster. There was a time when you could maybe have labeled Alabama with a yes there pre-Saban. Resources, yes, yes. Large fan base, yes, yes. Recruiting potential, yes, yes. Your name linked to a scandal forever, no, yes.
Okay. So there are some deciding factors.
Michael Kirby, you ask how recruiting is going at Alabama, ? I say, go look at the 4A championship game highlights. I think it's going pretty good. No, I will not. But congrats on you for knowing and sharing with us. Even if I did.
Right.
I have no idea who that's against. And I don't need the 5'10", 210-pound center getting bulldozed. Thanks, though. Louis DeArmor tweets in, what are the Novembers for Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Indiana, Oregon, USC, Notre Dame? I'm betting not comparable. Will the strength of schedule help or hurt with College Football Playoff Committee? This is what I said on the show last night. Because Chiswick was talking about how, we've moved to this strength of schedule metric that was going to count more. I said, here's the problem with the committee. It'll be different every week.
Mm-hmm.
There will be a hard lean somewhere different every week, and you better fall into that category if you want to move up or you want to stay towards the top or in the playoff. Because there was one week when it was lack of rushing yards that was literally a talking point.
Yep.
And I said it last night, and I'll say it again. Everybody wants to know what this committee needs to do, can do, should do. All you have to do is be brave enough to step in front of that camera and say, I'm glad you asked that, Reese. When we watched Notre Dame, when we watched Alabama, we thought Alabama operated better as a football team in the games they played.
Boom.
But how so? Well, number one, they had more points than their opponent. Number two, they had a better third down percentage. And they feel like they had things figured out in the red zone because they were 3 for 3 in the red zone. Those are things that we think put you in the category of good football team. Next question. Why do we have to make up the data points and the statistics and things? Just say, we like the way they play football better, but they won't do that because they don't think people trust that acumen.